What's up?
Wesley, did you hear that pop in my shoulder? No, let's keep the audio because, like, I'm pretty sure that my pop was in the little count in, and like, I think that it probably got picked up on the audio. What's up, Wesley?
Welcome back to the
Welcome back to the Charleston Wesley podcast, where we make ministry available on the go.
I'm Ava, and I'm the Wesley worship intern.
And I'm John, and my shoulder just popped very loudly. And I am the pastor of the Wesley Foundation, and we are once again joined by a very special guest. Drum roll for a drummer. It's Kevin.
Hey, I'm Kevin Lopez. I'm a junior here at the Citadel. This is my third year with Wesley, second year as a leader, and I'm currently discerning a call to ministry within the U.S. Army to be a chaplain. So hopefully everything's doing well. I'm also on the praise team. I've been doing some drumming stuff and hopefully some more guitar stuff. So, yeah.
That's good.
Jeez.
I really want to get you up in there for praise dance. I think that's
you don't
the
even
next
like
thing.
praise dance, John.
What are you talking
John
about?
loves
No.
praise
Let me
I
reiterate.
am, like,
John,
so down for praise dance.
you should look at the way he just said that. You like praise dance, but you don't like to praise dance.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
That's what you said on the podcast, John.
When?
Oh, he's pulling up receipts.
When?
I mean, I can't.
You can't give the citation of the minute
No,
marker?
dude. I'm pretty sure it was the worship episode, but you said you loved praise dance, right? But like you just didn't really like to dance personally. So that's just, I mean.
No, see, that's just, I was wrong then.
Has your opinion changed?
I do love to dance.
Okay.
I don't love VBS dances. I'll give that.
I mean, it's.
But yeah, so there's that. Kevin, I got an important question.
All right.
I don't mean to bring us down so early on in the podcast, but it's about that time of the year. The leaves are changing. They're falling off the trees. Birds are migrating. There's a breeze sometimes in the morning. It's spooky season. And so my question for you is, what's your favorite Halloween movie? And that was an important question because I said Halloween movie, which doesn't necessarily have to be a scary movie.
Halloween?
Ava is frantically searching up
Yeah,
Halloween movies.
I don't know.
And why? I did not think this was going to stump y'all this hardcore.
I know exactly what it is. I'm just.
Can you describe it?
No.
Ooh.
Why not? You said you know exactly what it is.
I know exactly.
Oh, I think this would be so much more fun if you described it and then we had to guess.
I got mine.
You go.
Go, Ava, go.
So do you guys remember the show My Babysitter's a Vampire?
So, hold on, I can't wait to listen to that audio because your inflection was so messed up. So do you guys remember the show name?
Yeah, well, do you guys remember that show My Babysitter's a Vampire on Disney Channel?
Yes.
I think that was probably post.
That was my.
It was
that was our
right.
generation.
It was right. I feel like the crossover
John doesn't
between
know that.
y'all and us,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
because it was a bit too.
the-
it was a bit mature for
The
young
last
Ava.
bit of like Disney Channel that I had was Wizards of Waverly Place,
Oh,
and then
that's so good.
Sweet Life on Deck.
It's a good
If
one.
that gives you relative comparison.
And they all do Halloween episodes too, so I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to do that a lot during that season. Is go
Okay.
on Disney Plus and watch those. But no, I'm thinking of that show, My Babysitter's a Vampire.
Yeah.
They started the show like because it ended up being a TV show, but it started with a movie.
Interesting.
And I saw the movie for the first time, and I was like, "Wow, vampires! This is cool!" And like, it was just a really cool show. And I just didn't think they were gonna end up making it into a TV show. So I think that's why it's my favorite.
It's interesting. Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So I couldn't describe it. It was very hard to describe. But what I was thinking of was this
Monstober.
the Disney Channel Monstober. It's not a movie, okay?
That's where.
But it's like a whole thing of where they show like a whole bunch of like Halloween themed versions of the shows that like you watch and all that. Like.
We
So
were
if someone
literally
asks
just-
you what your favorite color is, do you tell them what your favorite food is?
No, John.
No, because it's not the question. What's your favorite Halloween movie?
Okay. If I had to pick a movie,
See, and I was about to cite you, Ava, because you were talking about a TV show for a long time, but then you pulled it out.
I did.
okay.
So-
Look,
I pulled it
I was
together.
gonna. Okay, All right, the movie would have to be the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Interesting.
Look at Ava, bro. Look at Ava.
You
I
know,
just feel like that's okay. I'm gonna offend somebody because I know people love that movie,
I don't.
but it's just so it's not that it's not a good. I don't really know if it's a
I
good
just don't
movie
like
or
the
not.
movie.
Look, okay, my sister. All right, my half sister. She
Had to offer that clarification for no reason.
I don't have. Okay, because there's a difference. I haven't.
Okay.
Okay,
Jesus
whatever.
Christ,
Whatever.
I hope she doesn't listen to this.
Yeah, well, she probably doesn't, but you know. So my half sister, she loves Halloween, and so like she's just a very Halloween like oriented person, and that was her favorite movie, and like her whole room was oriented over it and all that stuff. So like I just have a very fond connection with like a lot of the metaphors that are in the movie and everything, and like just like the way he is.
Okay.
You know, the
I
main
didn't know
character.
it was like a metaphorical movie.
I mean, there are metaphors in it. It's there's like so much to it.
Well, I've never really seen it, to be completely honest.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I just really like. There's a lot of stop motion Halloween movies that I like too. But
Stop motion freaks me out.
I love stop motion.
Yeah,
Have you seen Isle of Dogs?
Ooh, like, are you talking
No.
about like Paranorman and?
Yeah, but like that's a stop motion style of movie. But I also just like stop motion in general. Because I understand why it can be like kind of choppy and maybe that freaks some people out. But it's just it takes a lot of work, so you can like.
I mean, it doesn't freak me out. I just don't like it.
I don't know. It's really good because
Well, that's fair. All right.
All right.
You answered the question.
I did.
I would say for me, I do love the original Halloween movie with Michael Myers. Dude, that movie gets me freaked out. He's just so creepy in that.
I've never like seen really a horror movie except for like one of those doll ones. I think I saw once.
Dude, that's my rule: is I don't do demons, devils, or
Yeah.
dolls. I do
see-
not watch
I think
anything.
I saw one doll one, and it was fine. But I've just never really seen many horror movies.
Why?
I mean, but
It's
not
just
all
not
horror
now.
movies have to be.
It's
Do you-
not like my what?
So you don't like them?
No, I think I actually might enjoy it because I like a lot of like suspenseful TV
Yeah.
shows and stuff. So
See, I
would
thought that
probably,
you liked them.
I would probably really enjoy them, but I've just never been like, oh, let me put this.
Well,
on.
you wanted to go see the new Alien movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's because
Yeah.
there's a cute actor in it. Not
Yeah, but
because
like,
of, like the plot or anything.
but like, yeah. So, well, see, that's where I was misled. I knew that was a motivation, but I just assumed that you would be willing.
Yeah, no, I am.
Okay.
I'm willing. I just haven't actually put
Fair enough.
finger to like.
You should
remote.
watch the original Friday the 13th movies
That
because
should
those
be
are
my
so
start.
comically ridiculous.
Okay. Oh, I like the one with
They're-
the ghost face.
They're pretty scary.
Yeah.
Scream's really
yeah,
good.
I feel like I would like those too.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that time of year, man. I'm getting pumped for it. Hannah is like really into those movies.
No, yeah, I could tell. She's similar to my sister, my half sister.
You just keep on.
No, I know. I
Oh
know.
man. You know, it's funny with movies.
I didn't think about Charlie Brown's a great pumpkin, a great like
Yeah.
you know.
I do.
Yeah.
I was in the middle of a segue.
Sorry.
You just ruined it.
But that one is actually so nostalgic to me, so I'm gonna have to change my.
I mean, it's not that deep.
Ava, I live for one thing, and that's
It's a
for
good segue.
that's for good segues in this podcast. And I was laid up.
I'm so sorry.
And it's fine. I mean, from the way that you've described this love that you had for it as a child, it sounds like you idolized it. Boom! Let's go! Just like Charlie Brown and them idolized the pumpkin.
Yes.
Holy
they did.
smokes, I'm on fire. Kevin,
Yo,
we're talking about idols.
we are.
And my question to you is, what is an idol?
An idol. I would say an idol is something that you see as like the top of your list that you center yourself around, like passions. It's what drives you. It's what inspires you. Your decisions. It's like it's just kind of what satisfies you and makes you whole, good or bad. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Ava, what
Yeah.
you got? What you got? What do you think an idol is?
I think it's maybe something that affects your everyday life.
Okay,
Yep.
we can work with that. What are some things that society as a whole? I'll answer what an idol is, but what are some things that society or even your like current context of the Citadel or College of Charleston or whatever, what are some things that society idolizes, and then what are some things that you idolize personally?
I'm gonna sound like such an old person, or like your freaking grandma or something. But that dang phone, dude. Like, oh my gosh. Like, if I could throw this out the window and just have just like, you know, the mind communication, I would so do that. Like, or like a flip phone.
The
or
mind
something. Yes,
communication?
yes.
What does
Also,
that
you very
mean?
much can
I mean,
throw away.
but I can't.
a phone.
Like it's like, I mean, I could, but you know how much harder it would be for me to like communicate with you guys, or like going to a typical job, you would have to carry a computer around for
Yeah,
everything.
I need a smartphone
I
to
mean,
do my job.
I mean, well, yeah. So in the same way, same thing in the military. There's just so much communication that goes on, and you just don't have your computer with you all the time to check your email or whatnot. So like in today's society, it's a necessity. But if I could switch to a flip phone and just call and text and all that stuff, I would do that right now. But it's just people, man. They just it's so easy to fall into the trap. And I'm not one to call myself like I've never done it before. Obviously, I fell into it too, and I'm barely escaped it now. But it's just such an easy thing to fall into, and something that it's just normalized. But I mean, so people idolize the phone, and it's every day. It's everybody's got a phone, everybody's got this and that, and I just hate it because it detracts from like a lot of things in our lives. Like, bro, we live in a freaking universe, and people subject themselves to like their world, and there's so many issues with that.
Okay.
So,
what about you, Ava? Things that society is idolizing.
Money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrity culture.
Yeah.
Like body image or like looks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then for like, are we doing the personal one too?
Yeah. So what do you personally idolize?
For me, it's probably grades in college. And I think another one that society as a whole, but especially in college, is we look a lot. We focus a lot on what our social life looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you in a relationship? Or do you have a good friend group? What are you doing? Are you doing stuff every single Friday night? That type of stuff.
I got you. Yeah, I think that. I guess I'll just come out and say what an idol is then.
Oh gosh.
Everyone. So the understanding is that God made mankind, right? And God made mankind to worship God. So mankind will worship, always. The question is, will it worship God? Idolatry is when we worship something other than God. So we take what we were made for and we worship it over God. So, there's a lot of things that people worship over God. For example, I have a decently sized network of people on social media that post a lot about their lives. And I knew one girl who worked overtime for 4 weeks, drove halfway across the country, spent thousands of dollars to see Taylor Swift in concert. And listen. Taylor Swift's great. The concert's probably sick. I've seen clips of it. It looks pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. However, imagine what all she could have done with those thousands of dollars and all that time.
You're going to make people mad.
I got a lot of people who text me and they say, John, can't come to Wesley tonight. I got a test that I need to study for. I say, listen, I hear you. But we really should make sure that we're making time for God in our week. So make sure you get it back on the back end, right? I know people who idolize their significant others, and that's very dangerous, extremely dangerous. I know there are people who idolize political figures, and we worship them, and we think that they can do no wrong, and anyone who says other than them is entirely wrong. Oof, that ain't right. We're all wrong. I know people who, and strap in, Kevin. Can I hear the seatbelt click for you? He's strapped in, folks. I know people who idolize The Ring. What? Yeah. And that's hard to hear from someone who didn't go to the Citadel, but people worship that ring. People worship rank. College of Charleston, some students worship party culture. And they crave it, they wait for it, they anticipate it. There are tons of students at College of Charleston also who worship degrees and GPA. People worship stuff all the time. It's just whether or not we're worshiping God. And so I struggle with this one sometimes. I very much like, this is going to sound pretentious, but the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I realized that, no, I actually don't do this.
Oh my gosh.
No, well, that's not entirely true. I stress about money a lot. And listen, stressing about it is one thing, but craving it and kind of seeing my life as dependent on it is just not good. I can get kind of fired up about certain ways of thinking, and I can kind of fall into that trap. And so one weird thing is sometimes I idolize my job, and the job itself is what I begin to worship, and not why my job exists. And that's kind of a weird thing in ministry that happens. So idolatry hits us all. So we should all feel comforted by that. And it comes in many forms. What are some bad things to idolize in church?
Numbers.
Yeah.
So, a lot of weird things that certain Christians do is they idolize winning people over to the church, but not to God.
Whoa.
So they try to they try to win them over to just, we're going to be doing this and that, and you should really come, and blah 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 blah, or just try to rope them in to their church or whatever that they're going to do, but they're not, doing what the church was meant to be doing to actually get people to come to what they need to do. So, people, it's just numbers, man. Numbers, they're all about it. It's not good.
Yeah. Being now on a couple different or two different praise teams, I can say I've struggled in church with not idolizing the talent of the church or the
That's interesting.
I think we've talked about it before, maybe in our worship episode, but the purpose of worship is not for us to get music fans, we're not up there to we want to try to sound good, but that's not really the point. And so I think that's something I personally run into in my church circle is figuring out the right motivation behind why I'm up there singing or playing piano or doing whatever. I think we already talked about money, but I think money is often a conversation in church circles.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that churches just can get wrapped up in. Sometimes church members can start to idolize their role in a church. Sometimes for Wesley students, they really like being a student leader, or they really like being an intern, or they like being part of the band, and it's in some ways, your life gets infinitely harder when you agree to those things. This is hard work that we do. But I mean, I know people who want to be lay leaders and church council chairs and chair of trustees, and really it's because they just want that. I know churches that idolize their pastors, and that's really bad, really, really bad. I know churches that idolize themselves. They'll get up every Sunday and they'll say, "Look at how great we are," and that's dangerous. I know churches that idolize denominations, and they worship the denomination, and that's rough. I know some pastors who will worship like the Book of Discipline in the United Methodist Church that we have that like basically commands all rules and regulations that clergy need to live by. Sometimes they'll worship that and not worship God, and it's nasty, it's bad. So it's easy to miss these things because if you have 700 people give their lives to Jesus and join your church, then that should be good, right? But really, the worshipful part of it is, man, look at what Jesus did in 700 lives. Not look at what we did, right? Because we don't. So there's a way of thinking about it. But so what happens? I guess what are the ramifications when we idolize something that isn't God?
I mean, you're just like kind of giving power to something that might not care about you the way God does, like.
For sure.
I don't know, whoever's paying me in my future job and like the salary they give me, I don't think they're going to care as much about my personal life or like where I'm going after I die, as God would.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I will say that most bosses are good.
Yeah, no.
So,
That's it. That's why I was hesitant to say that, but.
So a lot of, like, when it comes to idolizing something, a lot of it is like an emotional attachment, like you love this thing. But something I've learned time and time again is the fealty of human love. And I really think God puts us in certain situations or gives us the opportunity to rope ourselves into certain situations to understand the fealty of the love that is of this world and not of a divine nature, so that we can come to appreciate the great love of God. And what was the question again?
What are some of the ramifications of idolizing something other than God?
Yeah, so if you just keep idolizing this weird, money or whatnot, you're just always going to have something missing. And the same way that I've idolized other, before I was a Christian, other faiths or other, things in life, you just feel so unfilled, unsatisfied, and you just search and you search down weird, wrong, bad holes and avenues, and it just doesn't. There's nowhere good that it can lead you to,
Yeah. I think that it just makes God sad.
Yeah.
I just think that he's like, oh man, like I just really wish that they would spend time with me again, and it's almost like in Toy Story where the toys like start to come to terms with the fact that like their owner grew up or whatever, and they feel left behind. Like I can't imagine God feels like a dissimilar experience of just being like, oh, Ava, I miss you so much, like. I wish you would come back and hang out with me. So I think that it does just kind of take a lot of the time out that we spend with God. And I also think that Ava, I think you had a pretty wise point of, it gives power to things that don't fulfill or like can't do what God does in our lives.
Well, and like, something I feel like that's hard, though, with talking about idols is that there's things that are still important in life.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't idolize them, but they're still important. So for me, sometimes it's drawing that line of, like, where do I stop that level of, like, caring in this or stuff like that.
Paying taxes is important.
Right, yeah.
I don't worship the IRS. You know what I mean? Like, there's a big difference, and being a husband is important. I don't worship Hannah.
Yeah.
There's big differences, and I can love things too. Like I love my job, I do not worship it. I love my dogs, but I don't worship them. There's worship is a very different thing. It's something that consumes our thoughts and seems important, seems valid, seems necessary. When at the end of the day, maybe it's not, right? And we talked about this last time that Kevin was on the podcast about like the Ten Commandments, and idols is one of them. It says thou shalt not make idols of me, which is really God saying like y'all shouldn't make something to worship that's representative of me, right? So some people they'll say, well, like Christians, y'all got crosses everywhere, and y'all are worshiping crosses. And well, no, we're actually worshiping the one that went on the cross, and the cross actually remembers and reminds us of that. And so there are some denominations that do take that pretty sternly, and so they won't have things in their sanctuary, but that's kind of typically the understanding. Kevin has a quick question.
Well, I was going to say that a lot of the crosses that are around, especially in a church setting, have that 3-letter little acronym in the center of it, and it literally means Jesus Christ, Savior of mankind. So it's, I just think it comes down to people not wanting to or don't understand certain aspects of why we do certain things.
Yeah, but it's a problem.
Yeah,
in the faith family of God's people, and God recognized that. So that's why it's one of the 10 Commandments. And like one of the most like classic examples of idols, and one of the biggest like face palms of Scripture, is during Exodus. Moses has done a lot to try and get these people out, and God has done even more. 10 plagues, all these signs, parted the Red Sea, provided manna every day for them to eat. And Moses goes up on top of a mountain to talk to God. And the Israelites could see that something was happening on the mountaintop. But while they were waiting, they said, you know what would be really cool? Let's make a golden calf and worship it. And we'll just say that the golden calf is God. And let's just worship that. And they were trying to come from the right place, right? They wanted to worship God, and they missed the mark, right? Which, remember, if I said we were made to worship God, that's, I think, the inherent inclination of all people, which is why they turned to worship the other stuff. But they wanted to worship God, and yet they ended up worshiping this golden statue. And Moses comes down and is like, what are y'all doing? The Israelites started worshiping something else while they were waiting on God to do something. And I think that's when idolatry happens. Maybe you're feeling like you're in the pit, and you're feeling like, man, I really want my life to turn around, and I'm really struggling here, and I really wish God would do something. And then all of a sudden you get the email, and you find out that you got an A+ on that paper. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, that feels good. I have value again, right? And then you just kind of chase that high. All the while you're kind of leaving the fact behind that, like, you were really waiting on God to do something. So I think idolatry occurs when we replace God with something while we're waiting for God. Or when we're struggling to kind of see what God's doing or understand, right? So what are some signs to recognize idolatry in our own lives?
I'll say that I have this weird thing. A preface is that I am probably one of the laziest people like you would meet, but it doesn't necessarily come out because there's two kinds of lazy people. There's like lazy people that just don't care, but like I'm the kind of lazy person that I really care about like the things I need to do. I just really like not doing anything. Like I just like being, and when it comes to things that I need to do, I'm like, ugh, I gotta do this now, and now I'm willing to do whatever it takes to just go back to being lazy and not doing anything. So I don't know if you've ever heard of that kind of philosophy with lazy people. So
I think that's just humanity. Like, I don't think any of us really want to have to do stuff.
But
none of that describes laziness to me.
I know, but
I was gonna say you're like probably one of the least.
I know that's what it
person.
seems like.
That's like me saying that I have like anger issues, but I've never actually been angry before. You know? it's like.
But it's like whenever I think about like, oh man, I really wish I was doing nothing right now. That's one of the things that I idolize is that time when I'm doing nothing. So when it comes to realizing that like weird instinctual feeling of like I hate what I'm doing right now, I really wish I wasn't doing anything and I was just like watching a movie or something. Like I idolize that solitude or like that solidarity. So when it comes to realizing what you might be idolizing, it just comes down to like what you feel, like listening to your body, your own thoughts of like what really runs you. It's a weird thing because I think each person has their own weird thing niche to it. Yeah. But for me, it's just recognizing like the underlying reasons as to why I want to do something or like why I want to finish this homework. You know, is it because I want to go do something better, or is it, you know, I want to just like get a A on this paper, or do I just want to have to not do it anymore? You know what I mean? So I just think, yeah.
For me, I think John, you brought this up before, but like at the end of the day, you can reflect on your day and ask yourself, hey, where did you see God today? There's some days where I ask myself that, and I don't exactly have a great answer, and normally that means that my mind was probably idolizing other things than like God and His nature and His creation and everything. So I think that's a sign for me. Also, if I'm just like feeling distant from God, that's probably like a good sign of like,
hey girl, I do think that's a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest telltale signs is when we have our priorities mixed up. So one of the best examples, and this is why I went hard on the ring, after ring day, a student came up to me and they asked me if I would bless their ring.
Dude.
And
bro.
And some people do that. Some people do that. They'll actually bless the ring and stuff like that. I don't. And some people will do that in weddings. They'll bless the rings before they trade them. I won't do that. I think it's weird. I don't bless your car, Ava. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I would argue that your car needs more of God's intervention than your wedding ring. What are you trying
to say?
I'm just saying that, like, you know, that's like a dangerous thing. So like, it makes more sense to like bless that than to. But I would rather bless the driver and bless the wearer, and thank God for like, because the ring's a great thing. Like that's a big accomplishment. That's something you should feel proud of. Yeah. But it represents what God has brought you through, and so no, I don't bless the ring. And your prayer life will reveal a lot about what you idolize. And so just be kind of hyper aware of what you're asking God to do, because really our prayers, you know, you can ask God for anything, but you need to be willing for Him to just let whatever happen. And so, you know, your prayers should really be like, God, I'm like really stressed about this roommate situation I'm in. I need guidance, and I want your will to occur. Your will be done, not mine, you know. And so, also, what you spend your time on is very telling. So if you're spending, quick math, how many hours are in a week? 7 times 24. 168, right? If you're spending 120 studying and doing homework and all these things, then like, oof, that's really, really bad. So, yeah, think about what you spend your time on.
Something I was thinking as you were talking was, I feel like maybe another sign of that you're idolizing stuff is, you were talking about like asking God for things and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I feel like another sign is when you're not getting exactly what you're asking God for, and then you like either stop talking to Him or you get mad at Him. It's like, so are you going to God because you want help and you're going to love Him no matter what His answer is to you, or are you genuinely just using Him as like a wishing well? You know? Like,
well, I think a lot of people do view God that way, and the truth is that God's already done enough.
Yeah.
You know, like there's one of my favorite spirituals is He's already done what He said He would do, because what more can I ask for, and how neat of it that He is fine with me asking for a little bit more. And so that's just the mystery of God, and that He loves us that much. But you know, we've kind of talked about how to identify the issues, right? But I guess my last question for this episode is, how can we reorient and actually start to idolize God? How do we start to worship God primarily?
You were talking about those reflections, or I was talking about
Yeah.
how you were talking about reflections at the end of your day earlier. But genuinely, I do think if you start doing that every day, just reinforcing that idea that you should probably be able to see God in everything you do during your day.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those ideas from the DC trip where we went around and went to all these museums and we're like, how did we see God in the Holocaust Museum? How do we see God in the Spy Museum, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, that sort of idea of, like, reflecting on your day, I think, could help.
What you think, Kevin?
I had something, but then Ava kind of, like, roped it.
Oh.
No.
Jeez, Ava.
No.
My bad.
Well, I'll definitely say, so similar to another response I had, realizing that, like, God can work through everything, but he doesn't work through everything. Like, he can, but, like, you know, I've been through certain situations in my life where I am back and forth like, oh, what was God trying to teach me in this moment? And I come to the realization where it's like, well, that might have just been something that was a result of something else that he did, but that might have not been exactly something of his doing, and I should probably just not put myself in that situation, or I should probably just not do that thing again. You know what I mean? So like realizing when you can see God in things, but like also stop worrying about how God is gonna act in your, or not. I would say, like, stop worrying so much on the ways that God is acting in your life, but more so being proactive on thanking God for the way he's acted in your life, and just trying to do and just be. It's similar to, like, how when you trust in the Spirit works in you, and you kind of, like, it's a little bit of a game of, like, setting the Spirit aside and then just feeling the Spirit as you go. So just stop worrying so much on, you know, all the little things, and just appreciating the different avenues of which God can work in you. It's a weird thing, but I think it's part of an evolving faith. So I'll probably be able to explain it better at some point, but that's kind of how I feel right now.
Also, just so we don't, like, skip over, like, I feel like the really basic one, like, get in your Bible, pray, you know, looking at your week, kind of what you were saying, looking at the hours of your week and, like, how much did you spend on what stuff, and doing that, like, personal inventory.
I think a big thing and a very easy thing is just go to church, because church is a heightened environment where all that should be pointing to God, and so it's kind of hard to think about other things, and so just go to church. Go to Bible study, listen to worship music, worship. I think all those things will kind of put you on the right track. But I think the biggest thing is communion, man. That's that reset point. It's you come back to God, and when you take that, you say, I want to be part of this new covenant, and I am here with you. And then Jesus mysteriously is there with us. So I would definitely say that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another thing would be playing into your spiritual gift, maybe to like for me, I also like to see into what other people's spiritual gifts are. That kind of connects me a little bit more as to, like, how God is able to work, because a lot of people think that Christians are, like, all Christian in the same way, but the way that I work out my worshiping or time with God, of, you know, what my spiritual gift is, can look a lot differently than what other people, how they like to worship God, or what they feel their spiritual gift is. So just, like, thinking and meditating on how God has blessed you and what just kind of comes naturally to you really plays into, you know, your genuine purpose,
right?
And how God, you know, would like for you to sort of act in that way. And that is essentially that ties into the point of what I was trying to say about not worrying, because if you just, live your life, just go throughout it, not, worrying so much on every single little detail, or what this means or what God is trying to do through this and that, but just kind of being. And in that, I've been able to look back at it every once in a while from a reflective point of view and see what God intended on doing by certain things, and maybe, my genuine reaction to working a civilian job wasn't so nice and I just didn't really like it, and that was my natural reaction. Does it mean I should just start to like doing that kind of job? No, I mean, it was just my natural reaction, so maybe I should probably take that into account and how I want to move forward with my career and everything like that. So, I just think it's a little bit of a balance, or a little bit of a game, more of a trying to be,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, do you guys have anything else? All right. Well, I think that's what's up with idols. If the listeners have any questions, y'all can reach us at our email, which is wuw@wesleychs.org. And also, don't forget to like or follow on whatever platform you're listening up to us on.
And if you want to learn more about us, you can check us out on our website, which is wesleychs.org. And you can also like and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And with that, let's pray. God, thank you for creating us to worship. Help us to worship you. We are sorry when we worship other things. We are thankful that there is grace. We love you, we praise you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We'll see you next week.